Here we go again.
Hit the chill back and you stand up, stand up. Start to move your body with your hands up, hands up. Rock it to and fro while they coming through the door. Now they leaning on the bar with the cans up, cans up. Hit the flow fast and you back up, back up. DJ got it lit, turn the track up, track up. Moving side to side, feel the rhythm start to ride. Now they stepping to the beat, never slack. Just how low can you go? Can you go? Can you drop it right down to the floor, to the floor? With a body like a demon, make the men start screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know. Ooh, how far down can you go? Can you go? Can you lay it right down on the floor, on the floor? With the body like a demon and the men still screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know, let them know, let them know, let them know, let them know. Lights turn low when they line up, line up. Shorty got the vibe, time to wind up, wind up. Everybody moving when the bass line hit, and the whole damn place gonna bind up, bind up. Bass hit hard and they jump up, jump up. Hands in the air, let it pump up, pump up. Moving left and right when the hook come tight. Everybody in the house shit. Just how low can you go? Can you go? Can you drop it right down to the floor, to the floor? With a body like a demon, make the men start screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know. Ooh, how far down can you go? Can you go? Can you lay it right down on the floor, on the floor? With the body like a demon and the men still screaming. Then you turn to the crowd, let them know, let them know, let them know.
What's up, guys? I feel like I might be slightly better than I was Friday, but probably not really. Maybe it's because I hadn't been doing a lot of talking, so now we got to do some talking. You know, just when you think you get it figured out, you go and screw it up, right? So the Saturday show was freaking great, dude. We had probably well over 30 competitors there. I mean, it was a very, very full schedule, and we ran it. The whole show was between 10 and 3. So we found out that they wanted to have us done with the loud boom boom at 3 p.m., no later. We could continue the show and shine and stuff after that, but they wanted to, that to all stop at 3, which is fine. I mean, we were out in the country. These people had never even experienced the first thing to do with bass out there where we were at. They were all being very polite, but I guarantee you could hear a lot of these vehicles for miles. There's like Doug was out there with that Jeep, and that Jeep is, if it's in town somewhere and he's cranking, everybody in town knows that Doug's Jeep is in town. It's like a Kiss, an outdoor Kiss concert. That's what the thing is. It's crazy loud. You hear it. Yeah, you can't even stay close to it. Like if he's got it full tilt, you don't even want to be near it, anywhere close to it. It's really mind melting. Anyway, we were dropping the bass, and it turned out really good. We had a huge amount of toys that came in for the kids, and the church raised like $200. We raised that much for the church with the that was just from the Demo for Dollars thing, and yeah, it was great, man. It was great, really good. I had like 3 or 4 different teams out there. and I felt like complete crap all day long. But I was there, you know. Most of our team was there. We were missing Tommy. He had issues with something personal going on. He couldn't make it, but most of the team showed up. I don't think there was anybody else major missing. I don't remember. I really wasn't taking a role, but I did notice that Tommy wasn't there. And then we had other teams that are affiliated with. They all showed up as well. So yeah, it was real nice. It was a real nice show. A lot of people, a lot of good times. Let's see here. Franco Quaid said, "Hey." Yeah. Rick Ross, how's everybody doing? Yeah, I'm in the house too, brother. Play it and live it said, hey. I missed the show Friday. I was so sad. Man, Friday was rough. And then tonight's not much better. I'm going to do my best to give you guys the whole thing. So people show up, we'll stick around for a while. If y'all bear with me. Like I said, I'm trying to get better. I don't know. I'm just trying. Laughing makes it worse, and you guys are funny sometimes. Rob Payne said, "Hey, hope you're doing better." Yeah, not really. I just I came in and I passed out. I mean, I literally came in yesterday and for the show, and I didn't even eat nothing. I just come in here and I put my CPAP mask on and turned the light off, and I kicked my shoes off and I laid down and went to sleep. I mean, that was the entirety of the operation. I just took my shoes off, my mask on, went to sleep. I slept for like 3 or 4 hours, and yeah, it's just been, yeah. We're getting it done slowly. It'll get better. So I would have a bunch of video to upload it. I'm trying to upload video. The damn thing, I started it after I woke up last night. After my immediate crash, I woke up at like 7 or 8 or something like that. And I got the video up at like 9. I started uploading it. It's at 41% right now. And it's like 22 hours later. I think what I did was I think I saved it at 4K at 50 frames a second. And it's like 42 minutes long. But holy shit, man. That's a long amount of upload time. I normally save, if I do 4K, it's normally 4K 30. And it's also normally, 10 or 15 minutes. So I don't know. What's up, El Fuego? He's in the house from the Pacific Northwest. How are you doing, my friend? I am. So yeah, I took. I've got a handful of antibiotics from. Oh, good grief! Okay, I got a handful of antibiotics from like 3 years ago, and I doubled up on them. Going to take for a day or so, 2 at a time, because their half life a couple of years, so they're probably down to about half power. So I'm going to take a few just to see if maybe there's an infection in my chest. We can get it on the way out. That's what I'm hoping for. What's up, Timmy? Timmy Brushville said, well, I just picked up Slaps Audio 8K for my single Slaps Audio SmackDown version 218. That's a lot of power for a single sub, but I don't know. That's probably on the edge. What I usually tell everyone to go for is the 5K for the SmackDown 18. But as long as you're mindful of what you're doing, it'll be fine. It's a little more power than what you need, but It's better to have more than what you need, I suppose, than less, as long as you got enough sense to keep your foot out of it when you shouldn't. You know what I'm saying? Let's see if I can improve the lighting a little bit. I didn't have time to get anything set up. I think. Oh, okay. Maybe that helps. My brain's not 100% right now, everybody. Yeah. What's up, man? What's up, Bass Addict? It's nice to see you this evening. Yeah, man. I'm not feeling good. I was watching your both of your channels, and he's got 2 channels now. So got like one where he does more details and the side work, and the other one's more of kind of like the polished stuff. You're still trying to figure out how to utilize those 2 channels, I guess. But what I was going to suggest is that you could do your trim panel and just leave the bottom part of it out. Or you can also maybe cut a notch in your port so that it can fit around that seat brace and come out a little further if you need to. There's other things. You don't have to adhere strictly to everyone's rules, man. Just do the most of it you can, and then do the stuff necessary to make that work. That's the simple nuts and bolts of it. Ultimately, man, what you need to do is seal up as much as you can from the cab space to the outside, so that you don't want to have any air links or anything vibrating in that passage between the bed and the cab. You want to create as much firmness and air leakness prevention as possible. Other than that, just whatever the hell works, man. Because these things are all weird and different, and there's no hard and fast rules on making shit work. So you do what you do, and let everybody else deal with it. However you make that work is on you. But otherwise, great content, guys. This guy, Bass Addict 91, got some good stuff. Go back and give him a watch. He's a good guy. Play It and Live It said, I got the Fuse distribution block from Slaps. It's beautiful. Oh yeah, the one with the yeah, I have that. I have that one. Hang on a second here. Slapping it, baby. We're slapping it. Yeah, you're talking about the 2-piece one. I have that one. It's got 2 in, 3 out, or a 3 in, 2 out. I guess it's more of a 2 in, 3 out. For those of you guys who do not know what we're talking about here. We are talking about this guy. And so it's got, you could call it a 2 in, 3 out. So you come in down here with, pretty much whatever size, like probably 4 gauge and up, and up to alt gauge. And then you have 3 distributions out. So however you wanted to use it, 2 in, 3 out, 3 in, 2 out, I don't really know. You could do like a power in and out, and then a battery connection here, or like you could do from 2 in from the alternator to the battery with 2 of those and 1 out. It's kind of all kinds of different ways you could use this. Or you could not use one of these altogether. You could not use the in one and just use the side ones. There's lots of options. It's one of those pieces that has that fits in odd scenarios where you're trying to be creative about your wiring and your pathing. This can be very flexible to create something. You could also line up several of them and have power going in and out of them so that you have like 2 or 3 in a row and then come off of that, you could do some really cool stuff with it. uh, that is that distribution block. Very useful. It's very useful and in certain situations, especially. Base Addict says, I value your opinion. Yeah, man. I'm just, I'm just a dude. I think you're on the right track, man. The main thing is to seal off all of the leakage from going inside to outside in that cut through, that pass through, and anything that's touching anything else needs to be cushioned some kind of way. So like maybe some rubber strips or something in there, so that nothing is colliding with anything else, and just make it making that passage tight and stuff is more important than anything else. You're not going to get, you're almost guaranteed to not get the exact tune that you're looking for because you got constrictions of all kinds in your way. So don't worry about that so much. If I'm not mistaken, that port, the longer you make it, the lower your tune gets. But here's the catch: it might take like 3 or 4 inches to lower it one frequency, right? To let go from say 30 to 29, it might take 4 or 5 inches length to actually drop one frequency range. So the fact that you're pretty much limited on how far you can go forward with it before you hit your seats anyway. So don't sweat that. It's not going to matter. You're mainly playing off of your existing stuff behind that pass through. I just wanted you to get that sealed up so that you weren't losing all that energy in that pass through and those panels vibrating. Anytime you're vibrating a panel, you're sacrificing sound pressure to heat, and that's not what we want. You're also creating noise that you don't want, and you're losing energy to heat when you're moving a panel somewhere. So you want to move panels as least as possible, and leak air and frequency and pressure as least as possible. Beyond that, make it look good enough to make YouTube happy. That's the magic. Yeah, he's a good cat, man. He's a good cat. He's like me. He don't know what direction he's going 99% of the time, but he's a straight up honest dude, and I appreciate that more than anything else. He's just out there making a living and doing bass and taking care of kids and raising them right. All that shit means way more to me than polished YouTube content. I feel him. He's a brother from another mother. Hell, maybe the same mother. I don't know. He may just cook a little longer than me. That's all. I got a lot of black family, man. So, and yeah, I look real funny at. I used to look real funny at those family reunions and stuff because a lot of folks from out of town be looking over at me like, "What the hell is he doing here?" Yeah, that's how that goes, man. Like, why is that white dude here? I don't know, man. Let's see. I'm gonna set game safe. Yeah, okay, we're back on that 8K. I'm sorry, I lost track of what I was talking about. And 18, 5, 4, 38 hertz. Ford Explorer. Ooh, that sounds fun. I have it 29 amp hour skid bank, 320 amp alt, charging at 15.5. That's hot, but that's fine. That's going to be a very lively setup, man. It should work out pretty good though. I just want to read back through this again. I have the 18 and a 5.4 at 38 hertz. 2002 Explorer. Son, that's going to be some serious pressure you're going to be able to get to. Provided, I'm not sure what the sympathetic frequency is in that vehicle. Or whether it's got a good quarter wave lineup. But as long as you got that box tight enough to where it can handle the pressure and all that stuff, and as long as the vehicle's body is able to take the pressure, that should be a jamming system, man. Very impressive for a single sub, I guarantee you. Fuego said, how do you think that system will meter? It's a good question. It's a lot. It's a lot more to it than, just the equipment, though. Equipment-wise, I think he's in pretty good shape. He's going to see pretty much all the power. I think he'll be able to see all the power out of that amplifier with that setup, at least for a short period of time. I'm not sure. Probably all of it. Probably continuously, yeah, because I was running a single 8K off of, it was more empires, but a similar amount of throughput and a similar amount of charging. So, yeah, I think you'll be fine. I'm looking forward to seeing what you do with it, man. Be sure and let us know. Play It and Live It. So I love Bass Addict's channel. I always look forward to his videos. Absolutely, man. Like I said, I'm all about keeping it real. Some people are just good at being people, Some people are bad at being people. I'm more interested in watching content from people that I can relate to than people that, have 6-figure and 7-figure salaries every year. You know what I mean? I can't relate to them people. So I know there's some wicked, awesome, cool stuff in this camp or in that camp. But if it's shit that I am not even remotely capable of producing myself, nor will I ever be capable of producing it myself, it has a different attention span, right? I'm like, ooh, look at that cool shiny thing. That's cool. And then I'm done because I can't have that. It's like looking at Maseratis and Lamborghinis and Ferraris and shit in the parking lot. That's cool, but I can't have that. So I'm really not wanting to try to, get all up in that. I want to check out these other cars over here that I can actually theoretically afford. Because it's being realistic, man, and I can relate to that. Well, the same thing, man. I like watching YouTubers that build shit that I can relate to. It might take a second mortgage to happen, but it can happen, Or a first mortgage. Hell, I'm renting right now, man. But yeah, it's just, that's how I enjoy content. I enjoy watching people that are living the life that I'm pretty close to. I can relate to their life, and I like seeing people that treat their family right and that do things, that have the right mentality in life. I enjoy being around those kind of people and learning from those kind of people. Yeah, that's pretty much it. What I learned in this Audio on Wheels journey is that getting the equipment is one thing, but voltage wise and Jeep. Yeah. Jeep should be keep it. Jeep should be, son. You're making my head hurt today. Jeep should be keep it. That doesn't make any more sense the more times I read it. Let's see. I always get a good screwed up comment, and I love reading those. Uh, I'm sure eventually he'll come back and explain that. Right now, I'm doing 150.8 at 46 on a Trinity 5K, but slowly trying to get that 150 on music. If you're doing it on tone, but you're not doing it on music, you probably need to focus a little bit more on deadening your cab, because that's kind of the thing that starts to link those two together. If you Because in order to get the pressure to build up on tone, and it builds up better on tone than it does on music, it needs to build. And I mean, it's only for a second, but it needs to build up. It needs to build up that resonance. And if it does it on tone, but it doesn't do it on music, it usually means you've got vibrations in the cab that were undesirable, basically. Um, you're always going to be able to get, you're almost always, I don't want to say always, never deal in absolutes. You're almost always going to be able to get a slightly higher amount of pressure from tone than you are from music, because you're going to be able to center it around that tone really well, which is right where you want it. But you should be pretty close if all your T's are dotted and your I's are crossed. You should be able to get pretty damn close. Just throwing that out there. Marcus says, I want to put 4 Slaps Audio SmackDown V215 on 2 Taramps 8Ks inverted in a 32 hertz box. Okay, let me read through this again. I want to put 4 Slaps Audio SmackDown V215s on 2 8Ks. Build your box solid, and I would go for, my brain is not 100% right now, so any advice I give right now, take it with a grain of salt. My thoughts are a little bit smudgy today. I'm thinking at 32 hertz. Yeah. I'd go slightly on the smaller side for the box. But only slightly. Not like a big step down. Hang on. Version 2, 15s. Quit being stupid. Yeah. 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 So it's calling for a 3.4 to 4.15 cubic feet. I'd probably start out with 4 cubic feet per sub, and then build inside, build in. So like when you get your layout, you got your double baffle and all that stuff, and you've counted for the double baffle, you've accounted for the port, right? And you've accounted for the subs, but you haven't accounted for any bracing and stuff. So I would start out at that point having 4 cubes inside. And then as you add bracing and stuff inside, it'll take up some more room. I think you'd be right in the sweet spot of around 3.75 or 3.5. When you get done, you're going to have a nice tight 32 hertz tune that's going to be able to really get down. And with the chambers a little bit smaller, it'll help control you a little bit longer below that port tuning, and handle the power better and keep air moving better. You might look at basically the design that we used for Chris's box on video a while back there when we did just the 4 Oblivion version 1s. That design would work quite well for you and what you're talking about doing. I think we ended up with around 12 cubic feet in the end, so that would have been pretty damn close to that number. So yeah, check that box out. That would be my suggestion. Now, hopefully I didn't get any numbers wrong. It's like I said, my brain's not 100% tonight. Oh yeah, a 2013 Chevy Tahoe. Hell yeah, baby. That's what's up. Yeah, something like that would work. Basically, there's a whole lot more to be factored in. Red Pill says, sound like we're still full of boogers. Yeah, I could take stuff like that, but it's not really boogers so much as it is in my chest. But yeah, I can take that stuff. And sometimes that works. The problem is how it plays in with my dehydration and all this other stuff that's going on. Play it and let it say, yeah, I get a laugh for you. Thank you. That's what I meant in the last part, is keeping the voltage stable when giving it full power. Oh yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, man. That's where most of us fall apart when it comes to where your system fails. Okay, and that's the truth of where your system fails, and most of us don't see it. It'll do good here, it'll do good here, it'll do good here, and it'll do good here for a short time, and then it'll fall apart. And that's what's happening at that last point. It'll come out of the gate hard and then fall on its face. And it's real simple. You're not able to keep up with what you're pulling. Your system, your batteries, and your alternator, and all of that is just not able to keep up with what you're asking. And so the amplifier stops producing its maximum power, because it can't turn nothing into power. And the main sign of that is your voltage falling. Now, if you're running a cheap Amazon voltmeter like I am, and like most people are, you're not even going to see this happen. What you need is something like the SPL meter. The mini SPL meter can actually show you what your voltage was whenever it reads the highest SPL. So if you have that thing, and I know Bass Addict 91 has one, you set that up and then you go through and run your run, and then you skip through the different things there, and you can find one that shows you your voltage, what your voltage was at the highest peak, your very loudest sound, okay? And that also translates to What was my voltage when my system was trying the hardest? Okay. I guarantee you it's going to be lower than you think, a lot lower. And that's where the real crayons come out of the box. You got all this work and money and time and effort tied up in it, but you're at the end. That's where the crying starts. The bullshit stops, and the crying starts. Is when you see what your voltage was right when your system gave its last biggest puff to get that meter up. That's where the crying starts and the bullshit stops. So ultimately, having your voltage higher to start with is going to stretch that out a little longer, and also it's going to require less amperage, which means you'll be able to hold power longer. But it takes power to make power. If you're asking the system to give more power than it can for longer than it can, then it's going to run out. It's just going to run out. You can fix that problem by having more alternators than you can possibly need to keep your system going. That means you need a whole bunch of them, or you can have a shit ton of storage and not be able to burn through that storage before you're going to give it a chance to rest and rebuild that storage back up. And the thing is, that doesn't just mean that you build the voltage back up on the storage. That means that you actually put all that power back in those batteries. And that can take a while. That can take a while. I mean, it's the bigger the bank is, the longer it takes to fill it back up. But it's always about that. At the end of the day, that's where it's at. You may not see the voltage dip, but I promise you, it dips a whole lot more than you think right at its maximum output. So you're 100% right. Matt Litchfield. Oh man, my weekend was awesome. I wasn't awesome, but the weekend was fantastic. Do Riley said, "Hey, I was messing around in my garage and looked at my '95 Jeep ZJ. Been sitting on stands since '96. The head unit is a Kenwood KDC PS 900, not the 9000. Oh, I'm not familiar, but it sounds like a pretty old piece of kit. Old Kenwood head unit. Oh yeah, brother. That sounds like fun." Timmy said, "Yeah, I'm working on deadening more. Roof is done with Vibraflex." Yeah, until you get, if you don't have really good deadening done and your panels are really flexy and all that, higher base tends to be less concerned about the panel flex than lower base does, as far as making numbers. But that only works if your vehicle's accepting of those higher base. That's why some cars do so well naturally. Hang on a second. Man. All right. We got a few more minutes of subdued aggravation. All right, let's see. Yeah, like some vehicles have a natural high resonance, a high cabin peak, and if that vehicle also happens to have fairly tight panels that don't like to vibrate at higher frequencies, you can get a lot out of them even without any sound at that certain frequency. But all the stars have to line up for that to work. Let's see. Matt said, "I spent the weekend pulling pulling my subs and reconfiguring my enclosure. When I built it, I forgot to add to the port area box 412s for one sub. Did not sound right. Well, hell no. So the box has 412s with a port area for one sub. Yeah, that would chuff like crazy, man. 412s is like a 10-inch round port would work well for 412s. The 10-inch arrow port is a little bit tight actually, but it'd be pretty windy. That would still be acceptable. I've run a 10-inch arrow port on 412s, 4 strong 12s. And we're running a 10 by 10 square port on 415s, 100 square inches in Chris's build, and it's doing a fine job of keeping up with that. No noise at all, just loud. So there's some numbers. Drew and Pioneer 935 head unit. What an amazing head unit. Both of those from the old days. Yeah, back in the old days, old is a relative term. Don't forget that. What you consider old may have been something that I wouldn't even consider old at all, or vice versa. Actually, no, it's since my old is like my old is 8 tracks. So, and just to start to get to my old, you're in the cassettes. You're back prior to the CDs. We're in cassettes. The CDs was a horrible thing for car audio because them suckers skip so bad. That is very bright. Okay, I'm going to dim that down a little bit. But yeah, we were doing stuff yesterday. Let's see here. Going back to, I'm going to run 2 Rolando. I'm going to run 2 all gauge runs to back. What's a good distribution block recommended to power? Multiple amps, possibly Truck Thunder. Okay, let me reread that again to make sure I have that all correct. I'm going to run 2 alt gauge runs to the back. Well, for that, I run 2 separate fuse blocks. In the front, I like the here. Let me show you. Give me a second, guys. I'm going to look this shit up because I'm particular about recommending stuff. You guys, I'm only going to recommend shit that I believe in, and that's 100% how I roll. So I'm going to have to look it up to make sure I can give you guys a good idea of what it is I'm recommending. And then I'll explain why I recommend the things I do as well. See if I have anything in my stash here. I'm going to try to find maybe it's in here. Oh yeah. Oh goodness. I have so many purchase saws. All right. I'm not going to be able to find it in my list because it's just too far back, but I'm going to look them up. Let's see if I can. Yes, that's the right style. All right. Now, it doesn't matter Doesn't matter where you get these from. I'm going to show you the style that I like to run. So let's do this. See if we can do this without breaking the whole damn system. And that'll have to work. Okay. You guys should be seeing, yeah, you guys are seeing things happen right here. So it doesn't matter who you get these from. All right. I don't like these little rubber pads for the covers on these. And they actually fit on the outside bolts, the two outside bolts. But you're going to lose that thing pretty quick. Let me see if I can pull up another one. That's not the one. What now? Stop! What are you doing? You stupid freaking there. Thank you. Can you guys hear me? I don't know. My audio's working. All right, I have to keep track of that. But yeah, find these guys, and I like these because it allows you to have the wire connected to one bolt and the battery and the fuse for another, and the connections end up staying more solid. It's a stainless steel bar, right? So it's not a stainless, it's a plated copper bar, but it's a steel plated copper bar. So it gives you a solid transfer of power. The connection where the fuse connects to that bar stays nice and flat and clean, and it's no issue. It's easy to take the fuse in and out. The connection for the wire stays consistent because you're not having to take it off and on whenever you take the fuse in and out. These are really, really good. So find that, and this is what I'd say: run 2 of these in the front. Okay. So let's go back to what we were talking about here. Run 2 of those in the front, and let me continue on with what you were saying here. I got to find you. I don't know where you went, man. You fell off. You fell. In my Z. Yep, there we go. That part. Yep, and there and that. I'm going to try to get this finished up here. Okay, there we go. So, yes. And then on the back, you could run. I haven't used this one yet. I haven't used that one yet, but it's pretty cool. I'm not sure if it would work exactly in your situation, but I am familiar with this product, and you can do a lot with this product. If you're trying to be all fancy and have like this, this name brand thing going on, then go find some of that stuff. But if you want something that's just going to be able to do what you're wanting it to do, and this will do the job. Recoil carries these, or at least they used to, about the same price. And the thing is, like, I'm not sure exactly based on the picture. Okay, so in this case, they're showing weird stuff. Those aren't even real images, but all right. So it's got an input going in on one end of that A&L fuse, and then it's got 4 outputs. So however you work this into your system, it would work. It could multiples of these. There's a better shot of it with an M8 stud, 5.5 millimeter plate. It's got the little rings and seals on it. This is an excellent little distribution block. Whether or not it's going to suit your needs, I don't know, but I like the way it's laid out. You could always paint this or put a logo on the front of it or whatever. So yeah, I would call that 100% win. Probably an answer to your question. That would be what I'd be looking at. Unless you're trying to unless you're trying to go crazy, and you're looking at power to multiple amps. Now, it depends on how many multiple is. Multiple could be anywhere from 2 to 16. If you're running 2 runs volt gauge, that means you've got like a 300 and something amp alternator, maybe 2, and that's fine. And then if you're running like 2 big amps, that would be close. But the thing is, if you're running, oh man, my brain's not even working anymore. Somebody turned off my brain. Let me fix this. And my thing still working? Yeah, that's still working. Okay, that's good. Well, if you're running a typical setup where you've got multiple amplifiers, and the thing is that look at your copper where your lugs are overlapping. So like if you got, power coming in on one wire and it's going out on another wire and it's on the same, you're just making a connection. If those 2 copper lugs are laying over the top of each other, then you're going to have, like this, you're going to have power transferring from here to here. And it's going to happen regardless of what block it's sitting on, how much, what the meat is underneath. Those 2 lugs are going to connect. They're going to pass power straight from one end to another. So, if you, depending on how everything's laid out for you, if you're taking the big healthy amounts of power that you're needing to move and keeping those on as good of a trunk as you can, like moving straight from the battery into the amplifier, that's going to give you the best transfer of energy. Like if, say for instance, if you've got 4 positives in on your amplifier and you got 4 positives out on your battery, having those come in and make solid connections or going straight from one to the other are ideal. The less, the more meat you can connect those 2 with, the quicker, shorter runs, the better you're going to transfer power. That's for the practical side of it. Now, if you want to make all the YouTube people happy, you've got to make it pretty, and you got to put fuses in between the battery and the amplifier, or they're going to call to have you lynched, because everyone knows you have to have fuses in between your battery and your amplifier. So you take that however you want to. But yeah, people like seeing fuses in between them, even though it makes no sense. So it is what it is. It's for pretty. The main thing electrically is to keep the run as short as possible between the battery, which is the source of the actual power that you're pulling, because your alternator is not producing enough power to continuously run that. You're pulling it out of the battery, and the alternator is trying to fill them back up. So having those runs short, straight, and strong and thick are the most important. Another thing to consider is the amplifier will get hot in the power supply into the board. So if you're running those double lugs, the alt gauge doublers, you may not need that for power transfer. You almost guarantee you that you don't need that for power transfer. But having those on your amplifier and having those wires coming out of those going to add to that gives a lot more mass for the heat build up and that power supply into the board, the power input part of the board. It allows it a lot more thermal conductivity to get heat outside of the amplifier casing. So adding those big old copper doublers or aluminum doublers for your power and grounds down there can be beneficial to the amplifier and keeping the heat down in an area of the board that tends to get really hot when you're pulling lots of amperage. That can extend the lifespan of it and maybe even keep you from cutting off as often. But then you've got to figure out how to work in twice as many power wires and ground wires. It is what it is. Just the stuff that we struggle with. But yeah, it's a pretty good looking setup. I actually can see myself recommending that. Let me switch games here. There we go. Go back. See what you guys are talking about. Oh, wow, goodness gracious. All right, let's see. I'm behind here on the chat thing here. I think we were there. Yeah, we were there. Okay. Marcus said, I'll keep you posted. Yeah, I'm hoping it passes. You seen the new brushless alternators, assuming those are new tech? No, I have not. I'm sure they're, I don't know. I can't speak on them because I have no idea. Sounds interesting, though. I'll have to look into it. Marcus said, mid-bass or mid-rangers? It's like midgets or dwarves. Which is better? Dwarves or midgets? Come on, they're not the same thing. You have two different names. That's like woofers and subwoofers. Honestly, anymore. It's the same thing. It just depends on who you ask, Mid-range is typically, I would say, between 120 hertz or 200 hertz up to 5,000-6,000, somewhere in that range. That's usually where I would put mid-range at. Mid-bass, it usually can handle from 60 hertz up to 1,200, 2,000, 3,000 maybe. But honestly, those two are so close together that it's that the lines are so blurry. It depends on what you're looking for. More, just don't focus so much on the name of it. Focus on what its actual frequency range is. You'll get more out of that. You can shop by using the term mid-bass to try to group up the stuff that's going to play lower. But ultimately, you got to research into it, find out what the actual range of operation is to see if it works with your system. Because the names are used interchangeably quite a bit. Let's see. Do I need some soup? Sir, I probably could use some soup. It's not my throat so much. Like I said, it's just I got fluid buildup in my lungs. And I can't get it. It won't leave. I'm pretty sure I got a little bit of an infection going on in there. Now, I wasn't sure, but I'm getting more sure. Yeah, those two head units. Not only look fantastic, they were packed full of features. I was gonna say, oh yeah, high voltage output used to be a big deal. I was gonna say back in the old days for me, and I'm trying to not go too far back because it don't make any sense. But we'll say the 90s, about that. We'll go back to the 90s. I always preferred Sony head units because they were so simple. They were clean and elegant and simple and basic. And you got good sound out of them without a whole bunch of flashiness. And Pioneer, they love to flashy. All the flashy, all these little extra buttons and all this other crap that some people really liked, right? Some people, it was all about how much flashy stuff can I have on the front. For me, it was the opposite. I wanted it to be simple, smooth, just a few backlit buttons and basic controls and have it sound amazing. Simple is good. That was my philosophy. And Sony knocked that shit out of the park, right? They completely owned that world. So I focused on mostly Sony equipment back then. Sony head units were just, I just loved the way they looked. But I definitely understand the love for the other ones that were going all flashy and sparkly. I mean, they look cool. You know, Pioneer had it's kind of king of that. But Kenwood was definitely in there playing ball. Instead of having to run a pro line driver, pre-stage, line level. Drew, instead of having to run a pro line driver, pre-stage, line level. Okay. Which today I assume is standard feature in head units. No, I got a 9-volt line driver in the closet over there. I was pushing 9, 10, 12 volts a lot of times to an amplifier. I would have the gain turned all the way down on the amplifier and just run a hot line driver to them and control the levels with the line driver. Get a lot more dynamic sound out of that amplifier. Got rid of all that floor noise and everything. It was just the best way of doing it back in the day. But today you try to run 9 or 10 volts to most of the amplifiers in the market, and they're just going to cook. They don't have they don't comprehend that. They can't comprehend that kind of voltage. I mean, these tar amps are like anything over 2 volts, and they pretty much figure that their world is coming to an end. And I don't know. It's just the way it's done today. Things are different, you know. And Bobby B is in the house. He finally put the goats away. Come on inside. And yeah, Fuego's been here. Trying to get me a little bit of nicotine, but this chest thing punishes me when I light up. It makes everything worse. Give me a second here. I'm trying to not punish you guys. So Drew said, well, started in audio in 1985. 85, yeah. See, that's still old for me. That's still new school for me. I started. It was still the 70s. So, yeah, I was actually installing. And guys, I'm not kidding you. I was installing car radios and car speakers in cars by the late 70s. I was 10, 9, 10, 8, 9, 10 years old. And I was the guy. We were out in the country, so had some neighbors, and most of them were relatives, but there were others. I was the guy. If you wanted to do something cool to your car radio, you went and I was the one that made that happen. So, you know, and I used speakers from all over the place. We didn't have any car speakers at that time. There really weren't anything, so you had to be creative. And my uncle had a TV repair shop, so I would go with him and tear down old TVs, and we would pull speakers out of those, and I could use those in car audio too. Those little odd shaped speakers, you know. And But back then, in order to do like dash speakers, you had to reach up into the dash from underneath, and your arm had to sneak up in there all the way up until you got to the dash, and you were in the floorboard with your entire arm run up into the dash, and you reach up in there with your pair of pliers, and you get a hold of those little nuts, those little hollow nuts on the back of the speaker, and you work all them nuts loose until you can get your fingers and turn them. And then you come back out of there with the speaker in your hand, and then you had to go back up in there with the new speaker all wired up, and you'd push it up in there. And not everybody could do that. So I was one of those that could, because I was a kid, and get my arm up in there and do that stuff. So I was doing car audio work before I was even double digits in age. And so I've been at this for a long time, man. Not that that makes me good at it. Okay. That doesn't make me a professional at it. That just means that I've been doing it badly for a very long time. Drew said I got out of the industry in 2005. 8 tracks. Yeah. The 8 tracks. 8 tracks was the thing, brother. I did the 8 tracks. Let's see here. What's W saying? W said, I run 4 runs of 0 to my remote on the amps. I still can't get rid of engine noise. Look up floating ground. W. Here's your new research project. Google floating ground and read absolutely everything that you find. You'll learn some stuff in there, bro. It may not help with your problem, but I'll assure you, you'll learn some cool stuff. Drew said, I have to have in my living room an 8-track Roberts 808. Oh, hell yeah. 127 record player with matching speakers. My grandfather's equipment, and I still use it to this day. Hell yeah, man. I've always wanted to get, I had those console stereos and console TV stereo combos and shit. I think it would be really, really, really freaking sick, right? To find one of those old console TV stereo combos with it had the TV in it and then had the big speakers, and completely build a modern system in it, right? With the speakers in there and like a flat screen up inside there, and turn that hole with some subwoofers down in there to make that thing just drop, just let the dogs eat, you know what I'm saying? And maybe even have the whole thing to do Bluetooth, so you could use it as a big ass Bluetooth speaker with the tablet and stuff, and just make it the same thing visually, exactly the same thing, but with completely modern features. You know how much boom boom you could get in something that size in a living room? So like if you made it so that the bottom part was like the box thing would be like all the tweed, the tweed grill cloth, and wood grain panels and all that, the vinyl wood grain bullshit, right? The tweed and the little legs that come down and kind of aim out a little bit. The thing looks like it's straight out of the Jetsons, from the 1960s, but Jetsons. And then you either got the TV mounted down in the front bottom somewhere, or the TV could be part of the lift up. So you lift the top up and then the TV's inside. You could leave the record player and everything in there too to make for the look. But you know how much bass you could get in the bottom of that thing with actually putting a subwoofer in there? That whole thing would be insane, dude. You could get some really good sound out of it, and it would look like it comes straight out of freaking, I Dream of Jeannie or some shit. So I've been wanting to do something like that. I had never found, what I would need to find is the right piece of furniture that still had the look, but all the equipment was gone or destroyed or just smashed all to hell or broken. I wouldn't want to destroy one to make this happen, but I wouldn't have any problem I could just make one, I suppose. I'm not sure if that would reach the same cool factor. Bobby, and Dubby are showing the love. They're back there hugging each other right now. Let's see here. Cheech and Chong, 420. I can't do my Cheech and Chong impersonation right now. It's not going to work. I just can't. I'm barely able to keep talking without getting out coffee. Put it on my agenda for next show. I'll do some Cheech and Chong. What's up? CAE. Drew Bradley. Yeah, I don't know. I like to use Kenwood head units. Okay, I done lost. Boy, this thing moves too fast. It throws me off. There we go. Who said it? Heard Sony, yeah. Yeah, you heard them. They almost exploded, man. They almost exploded. There it is, Dubby. Recognize the explosion happening over there by Bones. Explosion on the wall, baby. Explosion on the wall. That's like smoke on water, except explosion on the wall. Same thing, but different. Yeah, let's see. Chef Life. What's the difference? With the sub mounted inside the box or mounted on the outside of the box, pushing air inside. Are you talking about whether the subs are normally mounted or inverted? I'm guessing. There's not really much difference there. One doesn't really move air better than the other. I'll tell you what the differences are. The actual differences are is one with the subs mounted. Well, I'll just put it this way. The wiring may be harder or easier depending on whether the magnet's in or out of the box. So that's a concern. You can mount. Sometimes it's easier to mount them on the outside, magnet out, because maybe you have less space on the inside. Like your mounting depth isn't as deep, so you have to mount the magnet out. Or maybe you just want to show them off. The benefits are really cooling. You can see and get to the coils and the motors with their mounted outside, so it's easier to temp them and keep a track on the temperature. And maybe they cool better if you've got like the right kind of configuration where you're getting lots of air moving across those. They can actually cool a little better, so it can make for a more efficient long-term demo hard beating build. You'll get people telling you that and I can tell you that there's a slight difference in airspace. So if you flip them out, you will get a little bit more airspace inside the box. And depending on your tune, you can actually lower your tune a little bit by doing that. But don't build around that. Build around airflow, cooling, and mounting and dismounting subs. Those are the things that are more important. It's more about quality of life than about anything else. Hopefully that explained as much as I can. Oh yeah, the Pioneer Dolphins, yeah. Drew said, I hope those brushless alternators have high current that is stable. Yeah, I don't know, man. I can't speak on them. I haven't dug into them yet, so What's up, Kick D? Um, Box in the garage and had a bunch of vintage Lanzar amps. That sounds fun. Uh, 600, the big dogs. Oh, I'm going to tell you guys, I really, really, really like using old school mids and highs amps. Like the big old school surfboard mids and highs amps. 6 channels, 5 channels, 8 channels, whatever, 4 channels. So if y'all want to send me shit, if you want to send me shit, I like the old school mids and highs amps. I love those. So that's my thing. I really enjoy those things. I like the little bouncing dials and needles and shit. I really like the little lights that bounce up and down and any kind of quirky ass shit like that. I'm into it. That's my jam. Uh, let's see here. Drew, I really enjoy hanging out with you. Talking old school, my friend. You have no idea. Boxes upon boxes of photos, VHS footage. Oh, hell yeah, dude. You're making me laugh, Tubby. Stop. Try not to be funny today, man. I got everything for the new build. Oh yeah. Let's see. Explodes caused the Big Bang. Then yeah. That's where that came from, man. That's exactly where it came from. That's how the Big Bang happened. It was the scientists finally figured it out. It was a Sony Explode that was playing 20 hertz, man. And Moses parted the sea. Screw you, Tuffy. Truce that just started replacing every ground strap. Yep. We should do that at the very beginning anyway. That's always a good way to do. People don't mention that when you talk about doing the big three. It should be called the big four. And number one is to go through and find every ground strap in your car, under it and around it, and adding a heavy ground in there with it. Don't replace it, just add to it. Every single one of those ground connections over the whole entire vehicle, adding a ground there. That should be the number one spot. I have forked TV record shellac finish, 350 pounds. Oh yeah, nightmare to move. Oh man, I grew up with these things, guys. I used to have one as a headboard in my room. The thing, my bed butted up against it, and there was a tape of Pink Floyd, The Wall, that ran, and that tape player 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All I did when I went to bed is reach back behind me and turn the volume up. I woke up and turned the volume down. It ran night and day, nonstop. I don't even know how many years that damn tape ran in that 8-track player. It may still be there. Wherever the stereo is now, there's probably that damn The Wall album is probably in there. Still playing. When I breathe in, it tickles that spot in my lung. Makes me feel like I need to cough. Late again. Oh, yeah. Late again. Drew Bradley. WW. I should get into that. I haven't got that really set up like I should. Divert the subs, benefits. Why does it keep tickling like that? That sucks. Yeah, it's cooling is a thing if you have if you're especially if your setup allows your port to kind of or your airflow, whatever, to kind of blow through the magnets like 90 degrees with the combs, going across. If you got a scenario where that's happening, then yes, because your motors can actually hold heat for hours and hours and hours. Especially big huge motors like on the ZV6s and shit from Sundown. Those motors, you can get those motors up crazy hot and then shut it down and come home, park your shit in the evening, right? Come back out the next day and they're still hot. They're still cooling down. So where the motor can soak up heat and hold and carry it away from the voice coil. The next trick is getting that heat soaked motor cooled off and getting that heat out of that motor. And so, yeah, I mean, there's something to be said for that configuration. But I would say it's mostly about space requirements and cooling issues that you can solve with that. Hopefully that helps. So Drew. 10 years ago, I tried giving away $100K in my own stereo shop inventory. Nobody wanted it. Oh, bro. Got to join the old school group. Stay big. Yeah. I love that stuff. I do. I mean, I dig it. I dig it straight up just because of the coolness. I mean, I like the way they sound. I like the way the old mids and highs amps sound. And I like the way they look. There's a whole lot. I mean, we have some really good equipment today. There's a whole lot of amazing equipment out there. But what doesn't happen today is nobody gives a shit about what it looks like. It's one black box after another. In the the 80s and the 90s, even in the early 2000s, there was a whole lot more energy put into making equipment look different than there is today. And I mean, yeah, I know Down for Sound's got, that thing going on where they're basically, as much as possible, copying the look of the old school US amp stuff. And that's cool, but still, it isn't the level of shit that I'm talking about. You guys seen the chrome amps and the meters and gauges on them and the lights on them and all that stuff. They were just really neat. Like I think Steve Mead's DS18 amps actually kind of are that kind of a look and feel. You get that, he may have actually be playing the game, but if you're looking at what he did and what Price did, the Down for Sound stuff, those are two examples of what I'm talking about. That was a time when amplifiers were cool. I mean, they had their own look. You could tell from across the parking lot what an amplifier was. If you could see it, you knew what it was. And there was love. It wasn't just a name on a generic stamped out box. There was love going into making them look cool, and I really enjoyed that stuff. Especially the bouncing needles. I love the needles and the lights. That's the jam right there for me. That makes it all cool. Uh, and Zarvis is a brand I haven't heard about it. I'm not familiar with that. Is that Lanzar? Is that what you're talking about? That's got to be Lanzar. Really? Does that go for that? Perfect. I'm trying to see what's going on here. I've seen a few on Facey. Can't remember the names. Posting your pics on Wilson's page also. Yeah, Wilson's. He's a man of the same cloth as myself. He has a lot of the same. He pretty much his favorite shit's also my favorite shit for pretty much the same reasons. Zapco. Yeah, Zapco had some cool amps. But they had a whole bunch of really plain amps too. Just really plain amps. And then it's like, I don't know. I like the stuff that does cool tricks. Maybe I should build a fake amp, like get some of these little high powered setups and build it inside of a chassis and make the chassis have all these gauges on it and shit and have the amps all inside the chassis, like double chassised, and build this big fake amplifier. Uh, that might be cool. I'll have to consider that one because I mean it's a doable thing. I could put a Slaps Mini in there, and then like a couple of Slaps Minis in there, and some gauges, maybe some kind of really cool stuff. Yeah, that could be done. That might be fun. Maybe a fun winter project. I'll have to consider that and talk myself into an interesting idea. I know somewhere about 10 to 16 Lanzar DC-15s new, just old. 10 to 16 Lanzar DC-15s. I guess new old stock. Hell yeah, man. That sounds fun. Bro. Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. I'm just reading the comments being past that, so bear with me. T. Corley. I have inventory of Zapco, Phoenix Gold, Orion, HCCA, Soundstream, Cove Audio, Illuma, Crossfire. Oh, man. All old junk, yeah. It's all old junk to one person. Each individual piece might be worth a mint to somebody else. A lot of that Phoenix Gold stuff was really cool. They had a really cool look going on. Zapco had some stuff that was really neat. I'm all about the look, man. Their sound is out there. We got plenty of things that sound amazing. I still like the way that the old school Halfbridge, Class A and Class AB amps sounded better. But the difference is so the difference between a really good Class D mids and highs amp and a good Class A or Class AB amp versus a Class D in mids and highs, there is a difference. It's much smaller than most people would say. There is a difference, and you can get. It's hard to nail down exactly what that difference is. I think it's more in the dynamic power and a little bit more in there's a certain warmth that's there. and it's hard to nail that down. But and it may just be subconsciously knowing what I'm listening to. It may be that kind of an effect happening, but there seems to be a difference. It's not something that you're necessarily going to notice when you measure it, though. It may just be all placebo. It may just be the fact that I know what I'm listening to that changes how it sounds. I don't know, but I like those big old surfboard size freaking amps, dude. Let's get on down through here and see what else is going on. Anything SPL or mules? Oh yes, there's like 5 to 8 every Orion HCC amp. Yeah, hell yeah, dude. That'd be fun to run a whole. I don't know if I'd want to, man. I'm be afraid I'd blow something up, but to run like 4 or even 8, like big something like that. Yeah, like 8 old Orion amplifiers. Can you imagine 2 per coil on those slaps subs in there? Out a wall of 8. Like the most inefficient thing you could possibly do. And then but that would be really cool. See, the cool factor is where it's at. It isn't that it makes the most sense. Something like that would be sick though. And I'd be the stupid ass to do it for sure. No doubt. Let's see. Heaps of old heads that would take most of that stuff. Oh yeah. Absolutely, Dubby. Dubby said if you got any Sony explodes. SPL 160. Oh yeah, dude. Loudest system in the world. Pair of tarantula amps. Oh man. Da Vinci, yeah. I'm just steadily going down through the comments, man. Sorry. Four sermon back. Drew is steadily talking, man. He's just steadily letting everybody know he's got this massive inventory. Stat stuff. They want 1,000 to install. Amp kit, 2 amps, 2 subs, steering wheel adapter. Oh yeah. I'll get caught up here in a second. Serial Museum. No contact info for the guys. I put 2 Kicker Warhorses in an old school Kicker 10K Warhorse heatsink. Yeah, see, that's what I'm talking about. Shit like that. But just getting a hold of all of that shit to do that with would be a pain in the butt. I'm sure there's somebody else out there digging around thinking about doing stuff like that. But you just think about it. You can do like whatever it is you want to do, whatever combination, put it all in one big like casing, and then call it a thing, and then mount that thing in the vehicle. So yeah, you can be pretty creative, like an amp rack, but more contained. Steve Mead actually did something like that where he built a couple of setups and he had fans on the inside blowing air through there. I believe that was for his vinyl guy or his plexiglass guy in that build. He built an amp rack where he had sub amp and the mids and highs amp in there together inverted with plexi on the bottom of the amps to show all that, and then he had plexi around the whole thing. They were all encased, and they had fans on the end and vents on the other, so fans on both ends actually. You could pull the air through them. And then he put on the top where the amps were flipped over, on the top of the part of the thing, he had the amp, the writing for the amp on the actual plexi above it, above the amp it was covering. And this whole thing was really cool. But Steve did it, so it's cool. He didn't. That's how he rolls. And I was making a reference to this in case you guys didn't catch what I was reading that from. Sheriff, you had a Chrome. Yeah, that would be cool. The Chrome 1000. Actually, I would like to have a couple of the old Chrome Memphis 1000 Ds. I had one of them back in the day. Those were cool looking amps. Yeah. Chrome 1000 watt, Fosgate, and Rockford Power 1000s. Oh yeah. I'm gonna have to look that up. I can't remember. Debbie. So y'all were asking once about what the coolest subwoofer is. Guys, now see. Hang on a second. I'm gonna have to get this for you guys. I wanted to show y'all. We got a lot of cool stuff out there, but this is the coolest subwoofer. So I'm gonna go pull it out. I had to go look it up for you because I was having a hard time finding the damn things when we were looking. So I want to get. Yeah, here we go. Okay. All right, hang on. Hold your horses. Now this, in my opinion, and sorry, Debbie, but in my opinion, this is one of the coolest subwoofers ever made. This is the Earthquake. This is a 12, but I got a 15. This is the Earthquake Sub-Zero. And I just absolutely love the design elements in this. And hey, a lot of people have done this too, but this is how the coils are set up. For the connection for the coils are set up. It's just so elegant. Okay, so elegant, so well done. That big old spider in there, and then the cooling for that whole setup, that whole motor. It's just so different. And look at the back, man. How could you not mount this magnet out? I mean, that would be like Dolly Parton wearing a heavy winter coat. If you mounted a magnet in, that wouldn't even be right, dude. It's like, how does that even work? It's like Beyonce standing behind a bar, You gotta have it. You gotta have it exposed, man. And look at that. That would be so sick. I just think it's a really, really cool design. And but yeah, this is there's also the one called the Holes. But this is my favorite the 15-inch version of this is my favorite cool subwoofer, period. And somebody in the last show asked me about them. And this is the Holes. The Holes is not. So there's the 15. right here. I mean, the holes is the more expensive version, but this is just, man, what a sick subwoofer. Check that out. That's what we're jamming today. I mean, anybody who appreciates a good looking sub has to appreciate just a really cool design like that. So this is my unobtainium subwoofer right here. If you guys are wondering, that's what it is. And it's not really unobtainium, I mean, but this is it. If I was going to pick one, I mean, a lot of you guys would be like, oh man, there's so many more really crazy, big, monster, crazy unobtainium subs out there. This is just the one that I like. And it has been for years. I mean, the JL, W7s is one, but I think this is kind of in that same sort of a space. But the holes is cool, but God, the holes are so expensive. And they use a lot of the same design characteristics with the holes, but they're just so expensive. Um, I like the look of them too. They're just way more expensive. So unobtainium, they get into that unobtainium territory. But unlike Recoil deciding to get into the subwoofer market, I'll assure you that these holes drivers, they do the things that you're paying for. You're getting that. You're getting all of that. 4 quad, Nomex, Romex spiders, 8-gauge speaker terminals. You're getting all of the stuff that you're paying for. 4 inches peak to peak, all the stuff. So if you're, flow at 23 hertz, this is a nasty subwoofer. And Earthquake's been at it for a minute too. I've had quite a bit of Earthquake stuff in my life. So if y'all, that's kind of my little pillow that I like to cry on every once in a while. I just ruled out the holes because they're just so expensive. But I like the look of their whole lineup of drivers. They're freaking sick. Oh, Corley's, yeah, dude. Yeah, that thing's absolutely insane. The drivers are all they're definitely not they're definitely not like chintzy stuff. They're real deal. That's real deal equipment. But they're not cheap. Let me see here. There's 4 Starving Vegas strokers. I'm trying to figure out where I was at. I lost track of everything. This is a constant struggle. It's keeping up with your space when you're reading comments. Oh, we're well past that one. Drew. Oh no, Drew. Oh no. Oh no. You're gonna make freaking Dubby have like have some kind of freaking seizure, dude. There he is. Dubby, sit down, man. Sit down. Breathe. Oh man, you guys are killing me. Phoenix Gold Titanium. Yeah, that probably does. That was just yeah, dude. It's real. So I ran an Earthquake for years. They have really good mids and highs. They've always had really good subs. So yeah, Don't don't bypass them. It's good stuff. Yeah, you're talking about the W's, talking about the holes. Yeah, that the holes is just I can do either one. I just always dodge. My realistic brain always shunned the one that was $2,000, and I get the same look from the other one. So that was the one that was more calling to me because it was actually obtainable. Like I said, I'm drawn towards YouTubers who are doing stuff that I could theoretically do more than YouTubers that are doing stuff that I could never do. There's the living inside your means or living way outside your means. Like some people enjoy watching stuff that's beyond what they can do, and I get that. And then other people enjoy watching stuff that is totally something that they can do. They just need to learn how to do it, and that's kind of what I'm more into. TS 42 monster sub. Uh, yeah, if you're going to do a Sub Zero, man, you'd want to put that in a stainless steel box, or a box that was wrapped with like, you know, aluminum tread plate, or something like that. Like you would need to take that chrome and just go, because you couldn't put that inside of a box and not have it like it's got to be booty out, man. It just has to be. There's too much beauty in there to put that away. That's got to shine. You can't put baby in a corner. Okay, nobody puts baby in the corner. Nobody. Uh, earthquake. Oh yeah, Sonics, $2,000 a piece. Yeah, yeah, they ain't cheap, brother. SPL competition champion subs. Can't remember. I like the MTX Sledgehammer too. That was a pretty cool sub, but it wasn't as cool looking as those. I know, right? Yeah. Oh yeah, they do perform well. Um, PG titanium. Can't recall. Uh, see Santa. What is it? You see Santa out doing base head stuff. I don't even have to show video. It was fun. Oh, I think you sent me a thing. I didn't. I was caught up in my fucked up world and didn't watch the video. Sorry. Uh, I have been trying to hang in there, guys. Doing my best. Whew, y'all have been fun tonight. I appreciate y'all for stopping in here. And hopefully by Friday, I'll be better. Hoping the weather warms up. What's it looking like it's going to do here? Let's see. I mean, I'm pulling up the forecast. Come on, load. Okay. Oh, yeah. See. So it's saying that today the high is going to be 38 degrees, the low of 21, and it'll be warming up tomorrow slowly with a 24 as a low and a 38 as the evening. And then on Tuesday you can expect nice breezy weather with a nice high of 62 degrees. And on Wednesday, that sun's going to cook a little bit more. We're going to get up to 69 degrees, and that's going to bleed on over into Thursday, where the high is going to be around 71. And on Friday, we're going to get a nice gusty 75-degree highs here in the state of Missouri. Okay, enough of that. We'll just keep stabbing it until it's dead, man. That's how that goes. See, that's going to warm up all week, man. Drew said, here is a fun fact. All right. For 98% of every speaker manufactured had their dust caps printed in Fort Wayne, Indiana, at a company called Dimensional Imprinting. Yeah, I can totally believe that. Because who wants to? It's all about manufacturing cost, man. Why build a machine to stamp out dust caps and print, dust caps when you can hire that out? You know what I mean? There's one company that's already got their shit built to do that. They can do it for everybody. So yeah, other than a few oddballs that do really weird dust caps, like some of the stuff from JL maybe, and like some of the dust caps from the Sony Explode maybe, and some of these these weird dust caps that would break the mold anyway. But pretty much all the other ones, yeah, why not have them all printed in the same place? Yeah, I am, brother. At least 10 to 15 years ago on back. 28 degrees tonight and tomorrow. Yeah, see, that's what I just said. I just went through my weatherman voice as good as I could with this crap here. Wow, man. Dave's not here. Everybody. Dog shit's dog shit. Give me some of that dog shit weed, man. Dave's not here, man. All right. Guys, I'm going to get out of here. Try to get myself weller. Hoping for the best. I don't even know where the duck went. I can't find the duck, man. Who broke the duck? Who broke the duck? Oh no. Well, you know what? Yeah. Let's do it.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you for stopping by.
Yeah. Out here banging up and down the street, slamming it to the ground. Big subwoofers are getting loud. You can feel the booming sound. Getting ready to go. Got it shined up for the show. Hours charging, amps are amping, gonna let the woofers blow. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. We got more at home. Another one bites the dust. Wires are glowing and the amps smoking. Subs are cherry red. Let me keep jamming, gotta keep the bass slamming. Gonna go hard till they're dead. Full power, gotta let it go. 20 hertz in the floating air. Sparks are flying, voice cords are frying, and the smoke is in the air. Another one bites the dust. Another one bites the dust. And another one goes, and another one goes, and another one bites the dust. Hey, we got more at home. Another one bites the dust.